The Crossover with Marlon and Armand is brought to you by Western States Plumbing and AC.
You're now tuned in to The Crossover with Marlon Jones and Armand Williams.
Hold up, you're teaming up a Sun Devil and a Wildcat? Who came up with that brilliant idea?
The Crossover on KDUS AM 1060.
All right, welcome back to The Crossover with Marlon and Armand, KDUS 1060. You guys can call into our listener line, you know that, 602-260-1060, and be sure and follow and subscribe to our social media accounts on both YouTube and Facebook at The Crossover 1060. Now, this segment is brought to you by Image Schools, which is built upon expectations high enough to live up to the child's potential. At Imagine Schools, success means developing character and enriching minds as they graduate students well prepared for college, career, and life. Visit their website today at imagineschools.org. Once again, that's imagineschools.org. Imagine Schools. All right, we are here live today, Marlon and myself. We are live on location at the Yucca Tap Room at 29 West Southern Avenue in Tempe, off the southwest corner of Southern Avenue and Mill. Yucca Tap Room, voted time and time again best dive bar in Phoenix. They have 29 beers on tap, a fun atmosphere, great food, great times to be had here at Yucca Tap Room, 29 West Southern Avenue in Tempe. Now, Marlon, I just want to go ahead and, before we go ahead and get into the topic with the SMU and then Stanford and Cal going over to the ACC, I just wanted to give some guys, some people, some updates on what's going on in college football right now. It looks like Tennessee right now. Tennessee is up on Virginia, 21-0 at half. Tennessee ranked 12th in the country. They're up big on Virginia. You got Michigan up. They're all over East Carolina right now. They're up 23-0. Colorado, as we mentioned, we've been following that game pretty closely. They're up at halftime on TCU, on 17th ranked TCU. Now, Colorado came in as a 21-point underdog. We already mentioned that. It's a lot. There's a second half left to be played, but right now it's an impressive debut for a head coach, primetime Deion Sanders. Right now, Oklahoma, they're beating the hell out of Arkansas State. They're up 45-0 on Arkansas State, their first game of the season. Iowa, they're actually scoring some offense. They're up 17-3 on Utah State. Yeah, 17-3 on Utah State. And Ole Miss right now, they're up on Mercer. It's early. It's just started. They're up 7-0 on Mercer. And then later on today, you got Oregon at Portland State. You got Ohio State at Indiana. And you got Washington and Boise State, which I'm going to probably I got an eye out on that game. You know, I don't know exactly what type of team Boise State's going to bring to the table, but, you know, that team makes me nervous. It's just maybe it has to do with their tradition and history that they've been able to create over the last couple of decades. I know this is not the same. This is not your Coach Peterson,
right?
You know, Boise State Broncos, but you know,
unless Penix is sick,
right,
or hurt, or not, that Washington's going to run away with that.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see that kid play.
I am too, and we mentioned just about a week ago or so. He's in the Heisman contention
for sure.
So we'll see what he looks like this season. Should be very interesting for Washington as they get ready to move on with Oregon and they go ahead and transition over to the Big Ten. But Friday was official, Marlon. We finally learned that the fate of the two out of the four remaining schools left in the Pac-12 conference, and while it's not the worst fate possible, logistics could be a nightmare for the lesser sports teams. So it's great for Stanford and Cal. They're going to be joining the ACC conference along with SMU. But for football and basketball, it should be no big deal. But for the lesser revenue sports, that certainly could be a concern for them. And actually, here's an article that I was able to find that Stanford and Cal and SMU headed to the ACC per sources. This was yesterday's Cardinal. Golden Bears and Mustangs are moving east. And this was an article that was written by Pat Ford just about a day ago or so. It said in dramatic reversal that required weeks of negotiating and major financial concessions, the Atlantic Coast Conference presidents voted Friday to admit Stanford, California, and Southern Methodist University as new members in all sports for 2024, sources tell Sports Illustrated. Now, this is supposed to take place officially, I think, in July, that they'll go ahead and transition over to the ACC conference. But it's a big deal for Stanford and Cal, but it's a really huge deal for SMU.
Yeah, didn't Well, after research that, or maybe you know about SMU, but didn't they want to join so bad that
What they did is they decided to forego any type of like media compensation package for nearly damn near 10 years. So 9 years, they're not going to receive nothing.
What?
Nada, nothing. Well, they got big money boosters. You know, they got like the J.R. Ewing Dallas type.
Oh yeah, they got the oil money.
Yeah, they got those big boosters that were able to help put them on the map back in the days when you had Eric Dickerson and then James Craig.
Oh yeah, Pony Express.
Exactly, the Pony Express days, and they've been chomping at the bit forever to try to get back on the map, put them back on the map, and they think that this is the best opportunity for them to do that. So they're willing to go ahead and eat a chunk of nothing. I mean, they're going to be eating a lot of nothing burgers for about almost darn near the next decade while they wait for the. So basically, with the way that they structured this, and I'm going to look through the article as I'm telling you guys this, just to backtrack and double check and make sure that I'm not mistaken. They're not going to get any media revenue, so no streaming, no TV revenue. All the revenue that they're going to get is from like postseason success from them and from the ACC conference. So they'll get bowl money.
Okay.
They'll receive bowl money when they go to bowls. When other teams from the ACC conference, when they participate in bowl games from the playoffs, they're getting ready to go ahead and restructure this thing, go from 4 teams to 12 teams, which I think they should have done a long time ago. But I'm excited about that. But they'll get revenue from that. They'll get revenue from any type of like other postseason, obviously, like NCAA tournament stuff. They make it to the NCAA tournament. Any other teams, the other teams in the ACC conference make it to the NCAA tournament. They'll receive money from that, and then they'll go ahead and there's a pool of money that will go for some of these other teams that the ACC, the other teams that are already established in ACC, they'll get the bulk of that. But it will trickle down. So it's almost like Reagan as trickle down economics for SMU. A little bit less for Stanford and for Cal, because they're going to receive 30% of the television deal, the television and media revenue, and it will eventually, it's an escalator, so it will eventually climb, work its way back to where they're equal footing with the rest of the ACC schools. But they're not nearly they're not nearly in the same predicament or the same situation that SMU is in Cal and Stanford.
Well, one thing for certain, the GPA the ACC just went up.
It went way up. Yeah,
skyrocketed. So
most definitely.
You know, good for them, I guess. Good for Stanford. Good for Cal. You know, SMU desperately wanted to be there, so it works for them. Like you said, I don't know what their endowment is, but you know, it's a private school, right?
SMU, yeah,
it's a private school,
and SMU's a private school.
You know, in Dallas, and I know. So you know, they're setting on some oil money.
SMU,
like the most of the Texas schools are.
SMU, they got money. That's. I think that's what made this. I think that's what made this appealing to SMU. Why they went ahead and went with this, accepted this, because one, they wanted to be on a big platform. This puts them back on a huge platform. This is the biggest platform. To be honest with you, from back in the days when they were the SWAC. This is a bigger platform than even when they were in the SWAC back in the day.
Southwest Conference.
Yeah, Southwest Conference. Yeah, I think they called it the SWAC back in the day.
Did they?
Yeah, I think that was a nickname, the SWAC.
Oh, when I think of SWAC, I think of...
You think of HBCUs, yeah. But back in the days, it was the SWAC was it was SMU, I think it was Texas.
Oh, yeah, all the Texas schools, yeah.
Texas A&M, Houston, Baylor, yeah. All those schools, Texas Tech, they used to be part of that SWAC.
Yeah, I remember that's WC.
Yeah,
Arkansas was part of that, too.
Arkansas was part of that before they went ahead and jumped over into the SEC conference. But yeah, that back in the days, you know, you're talking like wishbone offense.
Oh yeah,
triple wishbone offense. Yeah. Not you know, it was like run the football like 70-80% of the time, whatnot. But they, even back in those days when you had those really good programs, those SWAC, this is probably the biggest platform that they've been on in probably about 30-40 years, man.
Well, good. You know, hopefully it'll work out for them. You know, we'll see how competitive that conference is with Stanford and Cal.
Right.
You know, so they're gonna be traveling some miles. That's for sure.
They are going to be traveling some miles. Now, from what I heard, one of the rumors is that how to try to mitigate some of this stuff, especially not necessarily as far as like football, basketball. They'll travel wherever. Have arena, have stadium. We'll travel. You know. But for the non-revenue producing sports, what they're looking at as a possibility is maybe finding a neutral site to play some of these games, like for Stanford and Cal and some of these other schools that are all pretty much like, you know, coastal schools in the ACC for the exception of Louisville. And even that is like a 2,600-mile distance between Louisville and Cal and Stanford. But what they're looking to do is they're looking to try to find like a neutral site, a neutral location, like maybe Dallas, Texas, where they can go ahead and where Stanford and Cal can meet up with like a Clemson or North Carolina or Virginia or whatever. Where they can
like for a baseball game or something.
For
softball,
a baseball game, softball, yeah, exactly. Where they have like tournament, especially tournament style situations. They think that'd probably be the best situation. But you were talking about like the educational level or the GPA going way up. Now, check this out. Since finances were the biggest factor for several ACC schools to vote yes on expansion, but the academic component of these additions resonated with some members as well, and particularly like schools like Notre Dame. Notre Dame was pushing this big time because Notre Dame, they already have a rivalry, a long-established rivalry with Stanford.
Oh, yeah.
This will entice them to probably want to stay in the ACC.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of bolting for the Big Ten Conference. So this was a really, really good incentive for them. And per U.S. News and World Report's national university rankings, Stanford is the top university, plays big-time football. Cal is tied with UCLA as the highest-ranked public school in the nation. So there's that. Those of you that don't know that, or didn't know that, just want to go on. So.
Yeah, that's a good tidbit right there. Plus now, Duke could get knocked off their pedestal thinking they're the top brainiac school in that conference.
Exactly.
No more.
And that could create a nice little rivalry between Stanford and Duke and Cal and some of the other programs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, man. All right, coming up next, we're going to get into more buzz around the sports and entertainment world. So don't go anywhere. You tuned in to the Crossover 1060 KDUS. And remember, we're here live at Yucca Tap Room at 29 West Southern Avenue in Tempe off the southwest corner of Southern and Mill. We got ourselves a little party going on, so come on down and join us, man. We'll be right back.